Hey, welcome to Genre Chat. I'm Caleb Walton, and this morning we are going to be talking with my good friend Cherrilynn Bisbano. Good morning, Cherrilynn. How are you?
Good morning, Caleb. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. I know it's been fun catching up with you. I haven't talked to you in a while, but before we get started, I wanted to talk to you this morning about book proposals. I know that's something that you're really into doing. You actually have a business where you're helping people with their book proposals, and this is Genre Chat, so I wanted to talk a little about the difference with the different genres with fiction, nonfiction, and how that affects how you compile your book proposal. But first, tell us a little bit about what you do, the different things you're involved in, and a little bit about that business I was talking about.
Yeah, I just love helping writers go from the thought process of writing the book to publishing it, and all of the lumps in between. There's a lot of stuff. There's so many things going into writing a book, and there's a lot of speed bumps. There's a lot of setbacks, and that's all part of the process. And I love to coach writers through that. I used to work with Kyle Young, awesome agent. Um, I was a junior agent for him and a submissions reader for him. And I got to read many book proposals. And I know writers, 99% of writers want to present a professional proposal, but many of them don't know how. And I said, I think I would be more beneficial to the kingdom of God if I were helping writers through the proposal process.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stepped down from some great ministries, like doing this, being the host of Genre Chat. I loved it. And I have to say, you're doing phenomenal.
Thank you.
I loved interviewing people. and I loved reading people's ideas for books. I loved working with Kyle. He was a wealth of information. I mean, in the last 4 years, he was key into propelling me into this job. And I just love it. I said, I'm going to study book proposals inside and out. I'm asking agents and publishers what they're looking for, because that changes. Mm-hmm. It changes from time to time. And whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction or children's books, that changes in the formatting of a proposal. So that's pretty much what I do. My company is called The Write, WRITE proposal. I have 2 members on my team. I have Holland Webb, who's a copywriter. I tell people he can find a comma that's missing from a mile away. I have Crystal Phelps, who is she's an award-winning editor. Wow. I mean, many of the books from Blue Ridge that you heard won, she edited a lot of those books. She familiar. Yeah, Crystal Phelps. I just have a great team. I'm very blessed. I just started doing this April 1st. I figured it would be fun to start Easter Sunday, which was April 1st. And starting then until now, it's been one obstacle after the other in my life, family-wise and health-wise, but God has been faithful. And my clients, I've got clients from all over the world, and I absolutely love it. I just absolutely love helping people, do a lot of free work. I'm God's servant, and I'm here to help people and do what He wants me to do.
That's awesome. And that's something really good that I'm glad you're doing, even for me, because I'm still relatively new to the industry, and there's so many things that you don't realize go into actually the publication process and moving forward from first draft, second draft, alpha reader. There's so many steps that you don't really know when you first start out. So it's really good that you're doing that. What is the basic structure of a book proposal? And when do you start writing it? I mean, do you start at the beginning of your writing process, or is that something you do at the end after everything's finished?
Well, that's a really good question. And depending on what you're writing, nonfiction books, some people will tell you write the book proposal ahead of time because it can be an outline for you. It will help you you know, process the thoughts better. A fiction book, the proposal probably, the synopsis and stuff probably needs to be done after you finish writing a fiction book, because I know most fiction writers, they start writing and the story takes a different turn. And a children's book needs to be written ahead of time, but the proposal is so much different. You could probably write your proposal as you're writing the book. It depends on who the author is. But if you're asking my advice for a nonfiction book, if you can write the proposal ahead of time, most of it, like the synopsis, chapter synopsis, your biography, some things may change if you're taking a long time to write the book, like I have taken to write my nonfiction book. But a lot of things you can work on as you're writing a book. So we can get into that. A fiction book, my advice would be to write some of the things that you already know, like your biography, things like that. But I would wait to write the synopsis, which is like 1 to 3 pages, till after you write the book.
That's good. That's good advice. And you're right. I mean, the story, especially, I can testify to that. When you're writing a fiction book, you don't even know how it ends most of the time until it actually does end. What's the structure of a book proposal look like? I mean, how long is it, and what are the different parts of it?
Okay, I'll do fiction and nonfiction first. I'll go through the processes, and I'll tell you the difference, if there is a difference in each section between the fiction and nonfiction. The first thing is first, you need to go to the website. Like if you're submitting to an agent, Kyle Young is totally different in his submission process than Steve Lobby or the others. You really need to go to the website and find out how they want you to submit your proposal.
And this is probably, they always say there's no stupid questions. This might be one of them. You're submitting the proposal to the agent or to the publisher or to both?
It depends. Well, whether you're submitting to an agent or a publisher, you need to go, if you're submitting to an agent, you need to go to like, you have to go to their website to see how they want it done. Now, let me give you Heartline, for example. Heartline has different agents. You need to go to that agent's page and see how they specifically want it, and if they even want what you're writing. Because there's some agencies that take only certain agents that take only certain things under the umbrella of the agency.
Okay.
So I would do that. Now, it's a whole nother realm if you're submitting directly to publishers, but you need to find out if they are accepting book proposals, or if they want a query letter first. You need to see their format. You need to abide by their format. So the format I'm going to give you is a generalized format, and what most publishers and agents want to see. And the reason why, if you're submitting your book proposal to an agent so the agent can go to publishers, that book proposal is like a resume. That book proposal is like selling your book. So a lot of people are like, why do I even need a book proposal? Because how else is the agent or the publisher going to know about your book, know about you, and know about maybe some projected books you have in the future?
Okay.
They're not. They don't have the time to sit and talk with everybody. So let me go into the book proposal. What you really want to have is, the cover letter is separate, but some people like to have the cover letter with the book proposal. I'm not going to go into the cover letter because that's kind of an entity in itself. The title page is your name, address, and email, the title and the subtitle of the book. If you're represented by an agent, you put that on there. Because if you have an agent and he's already has one book proposal of a book, if you write another book, you still have to write another entire book proposal for that book, because he's submitting it to publishers. Those publishers may not have seen your other book proposal.
Okay.
The genre and the word count. That's the title page. It's just got the name. The table of contents. Now, the table of contents is the table of contents for the book proposal, not the table of contents for your book.
Okay. I bet that's easily confused. I bet some people can
Yes, I've seen that. And it is kind of confusing. It's the table of contents for the book proposal, because there are some, when I attended a few conferences, I asked both agents and publishers, what do you look for first in a book proposal? Many of them said, I go to the marketing section. I want to see their platform before I even look at anything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
it's
that's
huge.
a really big part of that presentation process.
And that's like a whole nother, I mean, we're talking about genres here, but that's like a whole nother, I mean, I think that if you go to Serious Writer and there, I think Bethany Jett has some video on that on social media. Follow her. She's really, really good. There's other people who have social media and platform stuff. Get educated. The writer needs to be educated. So we have the table of content. We have the title page, the table of contents, the one-page sell sheet. That is not like a one sheet. The one sheet is what you present at writing conferences. Okay. It can have pictures. It's to capture the attention. The one-page sell sheet should have your title, your genre, your word count, a tagline, hook that agent or publisher. Then you would put what you want to write, would have on the back book cover, an abbreviated bio, which has how many years you've written, you know, some awards you've got. Not if you like cats and coffee, unless your book is about cats and coffee. You know? And why are you the person to write the book, and a current headshot. So that's a lot of information, but there should be, the only picture or graphic or anything on there should be the author's photo.
Okay.
The next section should be a biographical sketch, an author page, and that's like a resume. That's your writing experience, your education, your prior publishing history, your author photo. It's different from the one-page sell sheet. The one-page sell sheet has like 2 or 3, maybe 4 lines of who you are. The bio has everything. I've seen bios.
Quick question back where you were talking about the back when you were talking about the back cover copy that you would put on there, or your version of it. Is that something that people often have someone else write for them? Because I've heard writers say before that that's a difficult thing to do if you're the author of the book, because you're seeing it from a whole different perspective than a reader would.
You can have someone help you with that. I mean, that would be great, because the back cover copy, that's a great question, because the back cover copy hooks the reader into wanting to buy the book. So the back cover copy, you do not give the ending away.
Exactly.
You could probably go online. I would go on Amazon and look at the back cover copies of best-selling writers. That's what I would do. I'm kind of going quickly because we don't have a lot of time, but that was a great question. If you can get help editing, always have someone edit your stuff. And I just recently learned, make sure you send the right proposal to your agent. I sent the wrong proposal.
Oh.
And I know, and I do proposals, so I'm like,
it can happen to anyone. So it can happen to anybody.
I felt I was up all night because I did that, and I'm like, you know what? I messed up. I have to go forward and learn from it. But
So
Anyway, so we have.
people that are really good and know what they're doing can make mistakes sometimes.
I did. I can blame it on my concussion syndrome, but I don't do that. But anyway, so we have the table of contents, the title page, the table of contents, which is the table of contents for the proposal. We have the one-page sell sheet, the biographical sketch for the author. Now the story synopsis and chapter review. Okay, for a fiction book, this is where it gets different. For a fiction book, it's 1 to 3 pages of the story. Now this is where you give all the main characters, not every character, you give the protagonist, what's going on with the protagonist, and what's the issue, what is the wrench that was thrown into their life, who is the antagonist, or what is the antagonist. You also any kind of highlights and lowlights, I guess you could say, in the story and how it is resolved.
Okay. So
you have to put that in there.
So
I've had it right in the synopsis, 1 to 3 pages. It can be a little bit longer, but you have to put how it's resolved. Because, I mean, I've had writers say, well, I can't do that. I said, then they're not going to want your story. They need to know how the story ends to make sure it's different than other stories. Nonfiction, it's a summary of each chapter. It's like saying, if you were to summarize the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, who wrote Matthew, why he wrote it, who it was written to, just a little summary of each chapter. A children's book, let me tell you a little bit about that. The children's books have spreads in their chapter review. I mean, you give the whole children's book. Okay. You give the spread. Children's books are 32 pages, which 28 of them are left for text and pictures, and which really is like 14 fold-outs. Okay. There's different ways to do the spreads, but each page, like if you have 14 little quotes and you have a picture for each one, you would put spread 1, what that would be, the first quote, second quote. I highly suggest, Michelle Adams did a genre chat, a couple of them. Michelle Adams also has serious writer children's book writing. She is phenomenal. She is the go-to person for children's book that I know of. And there's also P.K. Hallinan. There's other people too. There's plenty. But and you can also go and Google children's book proposal format, because children's books are a whole different entity than nonfiction and fiction, because there's board books and other books. So, and I'm still learning about children's books because I'm helping some people with their children's books. But so we have to review, we have the title page, we have the table of contents, we have the one-page sell sheet, we have the biographical sketch, we have the story synopsis for fiction, chapter review for nonfiction, and the spreads for children's books. Now you have the market analysis. The market analysis is very important because you're identifying your audience. Your audience can't be everybody.
As much as you'd like it to be, that's truth. That's truth.
Think of who you have in mind when you write the book. When you write a book to a specific person or a specific group of people, the book is better. I started doing that with my fiction and my nonfiction. My writing improved. When you're thinking that I'm going to write this book for everybody, it doesn't come out right. It just doesn't. My friend Lori Rolleveld, who initially got me writing, she writes for one specific person, and she writes that person. She writes what that person likes to eat, what color. She really goes into like a whole.
Wow. So she personifies her whole audience into.
Yes, in one person.
See, that is a really, I've never thought of doing that, but that's a really helpful thing to help you kind of hone your voice into the right category.
When I started writing my book, Shine, Don't Whine, I was thinking a whole bunch of women. And then I thought of one person, and I rewrote it, and it's getting better. So the market analysis, what they want to know is the identity, the audience, the age, gender, maybe even their income level, their location, statistics on sales of similar books, statistics if there's blogs, magazines that have similar content, special interest communities that might want to read your book, and why your book will meet a need. That's the market analysis. I'm going really fast. We could break each one of these down and do a half hour on each one, but we won't.
Exactly.
The competitive analysis is very important. And I just did a writer's chat on competitive analysis. So is that writer's chat goes over to Almost an Author, correct?
I think it does, but it's also on SeriousWriter.com. So the same website that all you guys are seeing this on, Writer's Chat's going to probably, the posts are probably going to be on the same page. If anybody, the competitive analysis, if you want a detailed, outlined competitive analysis from me, you can email me at editor@therightproposal.com, the WRIT proposal.com. The competitive analysis, the reason why they want you to compare your book with others is agents and publishers want to know you know the market. They want to know that you are writing something that people want, but with a different twist. I'm going to go over this quickly. Make a list of 7, when you do your competitive analysis, make a list of 7 to 10 books that tell the same type of story or information as your book. What you can do is look on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Book Depository. You can go to the brick and mortar stores and go to the section. My book would be in Christian living. Yours would be in fiction, but in fantasy sci-fi. What is your book about? Yeah, so go to that section and see what those books are in that area. And they need to be within the last 5 years. Yes, add some bestsellers to your list. Because I've had some writers say, well, my book might not compare to a bestseller. I said, if these books are best-selling books, people are reading them. And if your book is similar, people that are reading those best-selling books might pick up yours too. So make sure you put a few bestsellers. What they want is mostly traditionally published books to compare to, maybe some bigger, bigger publishers. They want you to stay away from self-published books unless that self-published book has sold probably 8,000 copies in 1 year. Those are the books that you get to compare them to, 7 to 10. Now, the information you're going to need is a lot from each book is a lot. So if you want, I'm going to go over it quickly, but if you want the information, you can email me at editor@therightproposal.com and just ask for the competitive analysis and I'll send it to you. But each one, you need to obtain the following information from each book: the title, subtitle, author, publisher, copyright year, number of pages, format, whether it's paperback, hardback, Kindle, the price, the ISBN. Not every agent or publisher wants all that information, but if you get it, they'll be happy. Now, when you compare and contrast,
there's questions you need to answer when you compare and contrast your book. How is my book similar to the book? How is my book different? What promise does the author make to the reader in the book that you're comparing yours to? And what promise does mine make that is different or similar?
So do you have read all of these books?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I'll finish my list, and that's a great question. There's only, how are my credentials similar or different? And the biggest thing is never, ever criticize the other book. Never say my book is better, just the facts. So you need to be familiar with a lot of these books. If you can't read every one of these books, read the synopsis, read the reviews, make sure you're familiar with the books. You can break that down to 5 books when you when you put it in your proposal. But you need to know what's out there. So somebody had asked me that question, and that's a good question. If you can read all of the other books, or at least scan them, review them, at least see what the chapter titles are and which each review in each chapter, that would be good. But if you don't have the time, just get as much information as you can from each book as possible. If you know people who have read the book, ask them.
That's a good one. That's really good.
And if you go on the reviews, you can see the reviews. Somebody had said that they have used reviews and said these people were looking for this in this bestsellers book when they reviewed, and it wasn't there. However, I have it included in my book. You have to be careful how you word it, because you never want to put anybody else down. But you could do something like that.
That's not necessarily a critique of that author. That's saying this particular reader was looking for something that wasn't there just because it wasn't there, not because
so that's
something, a need that I could be fulfilling for them.
Right, and that's what they want. So that's the competitive analysis. The marketing plan, you need to do a lot of homework for your marketing plan. This is one place that every agent and publisher looks at, because your platform should be in your marketing plan. That's where I put the platform. Some people put it in their author bio. You could put it in your author bio, summarize it. Caleb Walton has a reach of, a social media reach of 15,000 or more people. You could put that in your author bio, and then you can break it down in your marketing plan.
Okay.
In fact, I actually suggest that. What I do for marketing plans is I put that little blurb at the top. Caleb Walton has a reach of over 1 million people through social media and vlog interviews or something like that. And then you break it down. So then they don't have to go through and add it all up. What you want to prove in your marketing plan is that you can sell at least 8,000. The general number I got was 5,000 to 10,000, but more like 8,000 to 10,000 books the first year.
Okay.
They want to see the numbers.
So you need to show that you have a following that can meet that need.
And what I want to do in this portion, how much time do we have? Because there's not much more. This is more important than.
Oh yeah, we've got a few minutes left. We've been about 30 minutes, so we've got a few minutes left.
Okay. Because I'm going to go back to the marketing plan.
This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. So
what I'm going to do is I'm going to go what we need. I'm going to go through the whole thing again, and then I'm going to go back to the marketing plan, and we'll end with that. But you need your title page, then your table of contents, a 1-page sell sheet, your biographical sketch, either your story synopsis for fiction chapter review for nonfiction. Children's books have spreads. The children's book has to be completed when totally completed, written, before you send your proposal. The fiction book has to be totally written before you send your proposal. The nonfiction book does not have to be totally written. The market, and after the story synopsis, chapter review, or spreads, you have your market analysis, your competitive analysis, your marketing plan, any kind of endorsements, the history of the manuscript, and then your 3 sample chapters. Endorsements, we can talk. I'm actually doing on Writer's Chat a whole thing on how to get endorsements.
Okay.
But I think that you can email me at editor@therightproposal.com if you have any questions. But I think the marketing plan is what really, and I'll try to just take 2 minutes, what really trips people up. I hear a lot, well, I only have 1,000 followers on Facebook and this many on Twitter, and I only have 100 followers. What a lot of people don't look at is their church affiliates. If you're Catholic or Baptist or whatever, Assemblies of God, their whole, organization. You can go to them and tell them you're writing a book. They have an email list that's thousands long. Facebook groups you belong to. I mean, how many people are on the Blue Ridge group?
Oh.
They actually look at, yes, Kyle told me that they look at who follows you on Twitter. I have some people who follow me on Twitter, and I'm like, whoa, and they have 500K followers. They look at who follows you too. If you belong to Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Awana, if you graduated college, does that college have an alumni magazine or email list that you could send your book release out to? Your local newspaper, all these organizations that you belong to, you probably could get thousands that you didn't even know of. And I think that is, like, you work for an insurance company. If you wrote a book and you said, and you wrote, and they have, I'm sure they have like an employee magazine or employee email or whatever, they'd probably be like, hey, we got a writer on our hands. Let's put his book announcement, book release in the next issue.
So you can go a lot deeper with that than some people think.
Yes. And if you know somebody who knows somebody, I mean, don't use people, but people want to help. I mean, there's people, a few people in the industry, we won't name names, but who want to help you. And they would say, hey, Caleb, I will actually do a social media blast on my 100K or 500K Twitter account for you. Get that. There's so many things that you can do. These things that you need to have a website. You need to have a website. If you're going to write books, you need a website. How are people going to find you? You need to be on social media. I mean, I think of a sweetie pie, Liz Curtis Higgs. I think she's been on social media, but I think this year she did her first live event on Facebook Live, and she had a blast. But she's embracing social media. Find your niche. Find 2 that you're good at. Don't try to spread yourself thin over all of them, but find 2 that you're good at and stay with them.
Because they're so good. Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all these different ones.
And one thing, like if you're writing YA, a lot of your readers are not going to be on Facebook. They're going to be on Instagram. So you might want to go over to Instagram. I mean, Tessa is really, really good at that. Tessa's really good at engaging her audience because she's YA. And she just, I mean, really good. From everything from coffee to, you know, things that the young adults like to do. She's not just out talking about her book, but she's engaging people, because that's why they call it social media. You organically build your followers because you care. And then in turn, they're going to care about what you're writing.
And this is a really good day and age to be in the industry, because this is in this time in history, we have the biggest opportunity to reach more people, to build your platform hands-on instead of, you know, having to do a lot of over the top, you know, work. I mean, you be on social media. I mean, anybody can do it if they want to put in the effort.
Amen. Yes, yes. So what I suggest for everybody is do your homework. The proposal sometimes seems to be more work and more exhausting and more thought-provoking than the book you're writing.
I can see that now. I can really see that.
But without the proposal, you're not going to get an agent. Even people like Cecil Murphy, Jerry B. Jenkins, I mentioned Liz Curtis Hick, I bet you Stephen James, Michelle Medlock Adams. She's written over 100 children's books. She still has to do a book proposal. They all still have to do a book proposal for their next book. And some of their proposals have been denied. You would say, really? But they have. So once you get good at writing a book proposal, you can use the same, if you're writing in the same genre, use the same format over and over again, but always check, you know, if you have an agent, use the same format. But if you're doing just strictly publishers, always check their guidelines. But if you have any specific questions, you can email me at editor@therightproposal.com.
And you've given such amazing information. I've learned so much just doing this.
There's so much more.
I mean, honestly, you're right. We could have taken each section and done a whole episode just about that. But it's good to get it in people's minds that hopefully, I mean, I know a lot more about book proposals than when we started, and hopefully everyone else has gotten some good information too. But I'm really glad you were able to be on the show this morning. I hope we can have you back later. There's so much information that I feel like you could share with everybody.
That's why I stepped down from doing this, because I loved doing it, but I really want to help people. And, you know, I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I'm learning. I'm actually taking Steve Lobby's book proposal course.
Wow.
I'm taking other people's book proposal courses, because I want to know I want to be able to help everybody, and I want to see what everybody is doing, because I don't have all the answers, but I want to be as informed as I can. And as writers, I mean, that's what we need to do as well. But if I can help anybody in any way, just email me at editor@therightproposal.com.
Well, that is awesome.
Thank you for having me, Caleb, and you're doing so awesome.
Well, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.